We will begin our session on quantum resiliency or crypto agility, where to start. And for that, I will request the experts to please take their place on stage. Mr. Vishal from 42 Labs, Lieutenant Colonel Mandeep ji, and Dr. Bhupendra Singh. For introduction, I will request Bhupendra ji to please introduce yourself, a brief introduction.
Hello. No, it is okay. Yeah, I am Bhupendra Singh. I am working in DRDO. I posted in CARE. I joined DRDO in 2005. Almost 18, 19-year experience doing practical cryptography. Not talking in theory or not publishing the paper, but we do focus on the practical aspect of cryptography. And I did my MS cybersecurity from Czech Republic and PhD from IIT Madras. Nowadays, I'm working mostly on the post-quantum cryptography. So that is the...
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vishal.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. My name is Vishal, and I am the evangelist for post-quantum cryptography and quantum resilience for a company named 42 Labs. This is our second venture, me and other co-founders. And our technologies are deployed in the banks, defense, and government units. They are by design around how to handle the quantum resiliency. So that's about me. I'm an engineer. I understand tech and love to keep it that way.
Lieutenant Colonel Mandeep ji.
Very good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Commander Mandeep Kumar. I'm presently serving with Indian Navy. I have 10 plus years of experience in cybersecurity, and I'm currently heading cybersecurity operations for Indian Navy and also running a program for quantum key distribution implementation in the Indian Navy. Thank you.
Thank you. So, friends, myself, Dr. Anindita Banerjee. I'm a scientist at CDAC, and I work on quantum communication. So, since we are in the interest of time, let us quickly start on the topic. With the recent announcement of, by the cabinet, they have approved National Quantum Mission for 8 years, and it is very ambitious with respect to present national scenario, as in we talk about building 1,000-qubit quantum computer. We talk about performing applications in that. We talk about intercontinental quantum key distribution. We talk about quantum safe encryption. And we know that the world is moving towards quantum safe encryption as well. From the, recently US has passed the bill on cybersecurity where, transition to quantum is important. And also European Union is also working very actively in this area to establish quantum secure framework, which involves terrestrial, non-terrestrial, as well as satellite, and study its impact on cybersecurity. So with this, it'll be interesting to see how India prepares for the same, what National Quantum Mission brings on table, how industry can adopt it, will it create some market opportunities? Keeping that in light, let us start delving into these, in different aspects of this possibility. So my first question is to Dr. Bhupendra Singh ji. Sir, how will quantum, particularly computing, affect today's cryptography? And how urgent is this problem?
The cryptography has two types of cryptography. One we say the symmetric key cryptography, other is asymmetric key cryptography. When we talk about the symmetric key cryptography, it means keys are same. Asymmetric key cryptography, encryption, decryption will be happening with a different key, or signing or verification will have a different key. Symmetric key will get affected by the Grover's algorithm. That is a quantum Grover's algorithm that what will do, that will give the quadratic speed up. If you do the brute force in AES 128, you have to try to the power 128. But if we use the Grover, in the quantum implementation, then we have to work in to the power 64 iteration of the Grover oracle. So complexity just getting half. Symmetric key also will get effect. This is with respect to brute force attack. When we talk about the structural attack on the symmetric cryptography, like algebraic attack or differential cryptanalysis, which is driven by the structure of the inherent structure of the cryptographic algorithm. At that time, there is a Simon's algorithm. Like basically, recently one Caesar competition was there. They talk about the authenticated encryption. You need the confidentiality as well as integrity. These types of algorithm will get affected by the Simon's algorithm. And public key, of course, we know that there is a famous Peter Source algorithm, which has polynomial time factorization in quantum domain. Our discrete log also can be solved in polynomial time. So public key will be very affected thoroughly with quantum computer. Symmetric key, there is a quadratic speed up. So still structural attack is possible. Symmetric key will also get affected, and asymmetric key also will get affected. Second part of question is how urgent it is. It is depend on what types of information you have, how long you want to protect it. Suppose you have information which you want to protect for 20 years. That generally we call the cover time of information or life of information. And we know that we have the information. If you know the Hudson-Hook Committee report, India-China war, still it is in government control. Long-lasting secret actually. We have secret which can life of 100 year or 60, 70 plus year actually. So you have that kind of secret information. If you want to protect long, and you know that quantum computer is going to come in 10 years, there is one phrase coined by some Chinese people. They told, store today, decrypt tomorrow. Communication link, you can type it. Whenever you have the large quantum computer, you can decrypt it. That will also get affected actually. So those things we have to take care, how long we want to protect, what is our assessment when we are going to have the quantum computer. I can tell you frankly, if I have quantum computer, I'm not going to tell you. No one will tell actually. Any country has. That is, we are talking about what is available in the open literature. We don't know China has big quantum computer or America has or any other country has. That is not good to reveal if you have the good quantum computer. That we should use for our own advantage, and it is our own assessment when we have to change what types of information we are encrypting, how long we want to protect it. And there is a famous theorem that NIST people say if you have a cover time of 20 years and quantum computer is coming 10 years, how much time you have to retool it, upgrade your infrastructure, what they call the quantum agility. That time also come into the picture actually. So keeping all these things in considering, we have to, it is urgent actually, I can say that, yes.
Thank you, sir. It's a very important statement because you're working with government and you acknowledge this problem and you're calling it urgent is very important. So we have seen that what sir was trying to say, that our entire digital infrastructure, when we say security, it is based on those mathematical problems which can be solved by quantum computer, according to some data. The criticality is like, it will take billions of years in a classical computer. It will take 10 seconds in a quantum computer. Those are the scientific results also. So keeping that in light, now my question to you is for Mr. Vishal. So you are in industry. So what is your experience in the market? Like, how are people reacting to it? How is the transition happening? I mean, I want to hear from you.
Yeah. So it's interesting. 42 Labs as a company works with government defense on one side because they are hungry for problem statements. On the other side, we work with industry, mostly the banking and financial services. Now here's the thing, like in case of any technology evolution, there are 4 kinds of people we are meeting. There are innovators, people or companies. Right? There are innovators who are by design interested in any problem you throw at them because their curiosity leads them to invest some time, effort, money into it. There are early adopters who want to pick it up if somebody has done it already. Okay. And then there are followers. And there are 2 categories within them. Now with the whole quantum resiliency and the problem that Bhupendra ji just mentioned is urgent. To innovators, it is super urgent. And now here's the thing, it is urgent by perception. However, it is not important to be invested in right away because it is not a showstopper so far. That is the perception so far we have gathered. We have spoken to 200 odd different levels of enterprises across large, medium, small size. Now that urgency is kind of leading to lot of knowledge gathering. They are willing to understand because these are industry practitioners. They work on business problems. So mostly they have been dealing with in the last 15 years problems which are at a higher level, at a surface level. Say authentication, say ransomware attack, say brute force, those kind of attack vectors. Now what we are talking about is the foundation of any cyber system, right? Now that's a little bit jittery for them, okay? However, having said that, we are at a stage where there is an awareness that is being built within the innovators community, early adopters as well. They're looking at the thing from the side. And one of the things that are likely to happen is to adopt what, say, US is doing. You mentioned that US is already gearing up for 2025 to kind of be PQC, compliant for most of the industries. And there are nuances to it. Like Bhupendra ji just mentioned, these are detailed problems. They cannot be understood by simply scratching the surface. They need the real work, and there could be algorithms based on different context. So I must say the perception is it is urgent, but may not be important at the moment. Maybe it is waiting for a trigger. And what could be done to, accelerate it is maybe increase these awareness forums.
Okay, yeah, that is important. So awareness, bringing awareness, and also perhaps hand-holding, because people are also do not know how to, go about it. So in your position where you are already working in this domain, I think experience from you will certainly help. So now my next question is to Lieutenant Commander Mandeep Kumar ji. Sir, can you throw some light on making India's cyberspace crypto-agile?
So first talking about, before talking about Indian cyberspace, I would like to talk about the global race which is happening for quantum supremacy. So US and China are trying to maintain and gain, basically taking a lead to become more powerful in quantum technology. So in 2021, Biden administration signed a new law, Quantum Cybersecurity Preparedness Act, which pushed the federal agencies to adopt or migrate to the PQC algorithms, or adopt or start at least preparing for migration to PQC algorithms. The second thing is US is presently enjoying the lead of quantum computing, as they have the most powerful quantum computer in the world, which is IBM Osprey of around 433 qubits. In quantum communication, China has a lead. So China has the largest quantum key distribution infrastructure spread across thousands of kilometers from Shanghai to Beijing. One more development by China is that last year they have launched a satellite enabled with quantum communication. This is the second satellite, and the first satellite was launched 7 years prior. And in 2020, China performed a test, and they demonstrated the communication between the ground station and the satellite using quantum communication. There are also two claims by Chinese. The first claim which they make is that one of the university has developed a quantum-based radar, which will have a capability to detect stealth aircrafts. So this is a very big setback or worrisome for US forces because they have the air supremacy for decades. The second claim which they are making is, one research paper last year stated that they have developed an algorithm using 372 qubits. With that algorithm, they will be able to decrypt RSA 2048. So these are the claims which China is making. And, but these claims are not demonstrated by them, by their Chinese scientists in the public forum, but these are the claims which they are making. So seeing all these developments around the globes and by the big powers, our security officials and policy makers are worried. So as ma'am mentioned, that 19th of April 2023, Union Cabinet approved 6,000 crores for National Quantum Mission. So what is National Quantum? The aim of National Quantum Mission is to basically provide, basically foster the research in quantum technology. And the main areas for that particular research is quantum communication, quantum sensing, metrology, materials, and even computing. So when we say that National Quantum Mission is more focused on research part, but when we see that India as a country has a separate national mission for quantum computing, that shows our strategic perspective towards, as a country, strategic perspective as a country to showcase the entire world that yes, we are committed to this particular technology. So India also has demonstrated very modest quantum technology implementations. Like the first thing was in 2021, with DRDO and IIT Delhi has demonstrated a 100-kilometer quantum key distribution link. So it was demonstrated by joint effort of DRDO and IIT Delhi. The second is in the same year, in 2023 March, quantum communication network was commissioned. And in the same month, Raman Research Institute and ISRO jointly undertook, basically demonstrated a quantum key distribution link between a stationary source and a moving source, which is important for us to establish satellite-based quantum communication. So these are the areas where we stand. We are also committed, as ma'am brought out, to build 1,000 qubit quantum computer. We are working on developing quantum networks with other countries. We are also working intercity quantum key distribution projects. So these are some areas where our country is working in. So when we talk about crypto agility, so what is crypto agility? So crypto agility is the ability to quickly switch between crypto standards without disrupting mission critical operations. So when we see as a country, we do not have any guideline, policy, or a mandate by the government to our private or public sector to adopt these, to adopt the concept of crypto agility or to adopt or to prepare for PQC migration as of today. Hopefully, in the coming up National Cybersecurity Strategy and the Digital Act, which is planned to come, will cover these issues. But considering those, as Bhupinder brought out, the threats of the crypto threats which we are seeing, and the pace on which quantum is basically advancing, NIST is working hard to build quantum resistance algorithms. And the first set of quantum resistance algorithms was introduced last year. Standardization of these quantum algorithms is expected to be completed by 2024. Once this standardization is complete, there will be a requirement, or organizations will be compelled to migrate to these new standards. And cryptographic migration is complex. It's costly. It takes time. And if you are not prepared enough or well planned, it may take months or it may take years also. So we as a panel, or as an awareness, we urge organizations to start acting today. Start building your post-quantum cryptography migration strategy. So as you start building your migration strategy, the first thing will be to become crypto agile. That is why crypto agility is so important.
Thank you. Thank you for the comprehensive answer. So now, as sir has already discussed, he brought out points on Indian developments in QKD front, which covers terrestrial and how we are looking at satellite with a moving platform. So now my question is to Bhupendra ji. Sir, regarding building cryptographic resiliency in the age of quantum, so I'm talking in terms of quantum computing only, and what are your comments on QKD and PQC adoption in India? What are the challenges?
Okay. In India, we are working towards both for PQC algorithm as well as QKD algorithm. So now, if we compare with respect to the cost effectiveness, with same infrastructure, you can just migrate from classical algorithm to PQC algorithm. Your cost will not get affected. If you want to use the QKD algorithms, like quantum key distribution or quantum network or quantum metropolitan network, so these devices are very costly. And they are very environmental sensitive. The kind of environment you need where they have to operate, and the sensitivity towards the vibration, towards the temperature, towards the pressure, maintaining that environment is very costly, and it is a costly affair. And USA has also not started doing QKD for the defense application. They are doing at research level. And India putting that much money for the QKD is, and also other part, the availability part. The cryptographic resiliency or quantum, when we talk about the cryptographic resiliency, it is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. How you are going to guarantee the availability in quantum key distribution? The quantum key distribution authentication totally depends on the classical primitive, on which QKD is built, saying that classical primitive are compromised, now I need the QKD. Till date, we don't have any quantum authentication protocol. So just moving towards the using QKD and taking the practical application, a lot of challenges are there. First, we should have the quantum authentication protocol. We can authenticate with whom I am going to share the key. Like if you know, the Diffie-Hellman original key distribution protocol that suffered with the man-in-middle attack. After that, there was an improved version of Diffie-Hellman came, authenticated Diffie-Hellman, where they can avoid the man-in-middle actually. In QKD, we don't have any way to avoid the man-in-middle. If man is middle, you can't communicate. And making the redundant quantum key distribution link is very costly. Redundancy and availability, they are the very same actually. If you want to make it available, then it should be redundant. You have multiple redundant links. One link is cut, then other link should be working. That is a very costly affair for the quantum devices. But whatever the classical network we have, if we upgrade with the PQC algorithm, either it is a encryption or key encapsulation mechanism, or it is the digital signature if you want authentication, and we have the classical quantum safe hash function, which that can also be used in signature. So these will be the much more effective. But only question is here, when you are developing the PQC algorithm, someone want to show that it is exactly the quantum safe algorithm. It is not the belief that lattice-based is quantum safe. If you see that, there was one submission called CITE. It was in the NIST and some people attacked in using the laptop within hour actually. That time you have to scale the parameter. What is the parameter? Everywhere scaling the parameter is difficult. With the parameter, the kind of availability, as of now, we are not prepared to have the confidentiality, integrity, availability, and non-repudiation using the quantum devices. Only devices are there which are the classical in nature. We have to use the PQC algorithm, with which we can achieve these CIA triad and using the non-repudiation also. Thank you, that is the idea.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So I will also add here, so when we're talking about classical cryptography, it's as old as a classical computer, which is 70 years, perhaps, right? So, and still we are adding security patches and we are trying to explore the vulnerabilities. So the quantum is very new. So when you are talking about the issues and problems, I think there is an opportunity to work on. Those are the problem statements which can be addressed. Because we certainly know that on paper, on theory, it's very secure, but why is that not in practical? Why is US focusing more on PQC, but at the same time, they are the ones who are leading the quantum communication as well, and Europe is focusing on entire quantum communication with QKD as an important part, as well as China. So these are questions which I think we should think and we should address the issues. Maybe there's an opportunity there. So now, with that, Vishalji, the same thing, Bhupendraji has brought it out from the government perspective. I would want to know industry perspective on it, on the adoption of this PQC and QKD and QRNG.
Sure. So it's very interesting when it comes to industry, there are different set of questions altogether. So the question is ROI versus COI. What is the return on investment, right? Or now when as a technology company, in this kind of scenario, we present it as cost of inaction. So what is the cost of inaction in a time to come? And that inherently includes awareness building. Now, action will be taken by innovators on this. And the first action would be to organize some sort of a roundtable for even board of directors or key members, start looking at what are we using and how is it going to kind of affect because of the quantum computing or the threats that the quantum computing brings to the foray. Now, that is one aspect. Now, here's the other aspect. If you look at US itself, from the industry or from the mainstream business perspective, Americans rate customer experience higher than even security. So, if you take an example of banking in India, there is an OTP minimum as an extra layer of authentication, which US does not follow. A lot of other countries even don't follow. And the irony is, or paradox is, there is a lot of effort going on in crypto. Why? Because there is a silent, because this is all in the back end, there is no customer experience changing, right? There is a silent attacker, like I think we discussed some time back, Chinese say that store today and decrypt tomorrow. So it happens in the back end. That's the reason why US is putting so much of effort on this, but they don't care if there's a authentication vulnerability of sorts or not. Right? We tend to look at as an Indian economy players, we tend to look at the visible problems before the root cause and before the real impact hurts us, right? Before it comes to our door. And there is a reason for that, because most of our technology adoption in the past, I would say, at least 10 years back, and that is when the foundation technologies came in, has been copy-paste. So what has been developed somewhere, we have adopted that and we have built on top of it. Our innovations today are basically not relating to the fundamental research that Bhupendraji is also talking about, right? And that is the reason there is an extreme lack of awareness about this. So that, and businesses, though we promote digital, we say that the business today is completely digital. We have to understand that the foundational cryptography that actually runs every transaction, whether it is your credit card, debit card transaction, or it is your mobile phone that is interacting with someone, or take any other example, there is a crypto bit, or your connected car or connected two-wheeler, there is a crypto bit involved in it. right? But it works silently on the back, and that's kind of the curse that it has got. And that is the reason why there is a delay, I would say, in adoption. But we are at a place where the adoption happens. Once it starts, it happens immediately.
It's like a peer pressure, something like that?
Call it anxiety, call it peer pressure, or call it the real threat, right? Once it comes to the surface, I think for the volume at which we trade in India, we do it really fast. So we just have to wait for the tipping point. And having said that, what companies are basically doing, I mean, there are software companies who are working on this. There are innovative startups who are working on this problem. And it doesn't happen in isolation. So there is some sort of a handshake is happening. How do we kind of, I think, broaden it is the key challenge. How do you create more such forums? I think with the whole national policy coming into picture, and there is some, resources being put behind it, it only will help.
Thank you, thank you. So in the interest of time, I'll move to the final round. So there's a famous Moscow's inequality. You know that if the shelf life of the data and the migration time is more than the threat timeline, then there is a chance of crypto apocalypse. And we should avoid that situation. So keeping that in mind, so this is an open question for all of them, for all of the experts. And then we can have one question from the audience at the end. So the question is, are we prepared? How to prepare? And how can industry be a part of it? So how well are we prepared looking at this inequality? How should we go about this problem? And how can industry come into play? So quick points on this particular question.
So, so when we see how to be agile and how to be crypto agile in this today age, there is a framework which and this framework has three pillars. One is how you would, first pillar is that gain your visibility. So when I say gain your visibility means you need to find what all are your crypto assets. So find all your crypto assets, make an inventory of all those crypto assets, whether those crypto assets are digital certificates, those keys, crypto libraries, and also identify the hardware, software, and services which are being secured by these crypto assets. Knowing your crypto assets and the data which is being protected by these assets will give you a capability to scope the impact of any crypto threat or any crypto change in future. So second is build your inventory of digital certificates. You should have the information of your digital certificates, their location, their expiry date, their particular CA. So all these informations are to be put in an inventory so that you can undertake analysis of your all digital certificates, that what all digital certificates are old, what all are required to be upgraded to the latest cryptography standards. Or you can also plan for the upcoming PQC algorithms which are coming in. The second pillar is automation. You need to automate your certificate lifecycle management. So so in order to quickly, easily, and at scale change your cryptographic standards, it is must to have automation, because manual procedures will lead to many errors, and there have been various instances in the world where the keys were expired and the entire services has gone down. So automate, automate, and automate. The third pillar for crypto agility is policy and governance. So all organizations are required to make organizational-wide crypto policies to identify, modify, and even if they are retiring their crypto systems, in order to ensure that they are using latest crypto systems. So these are the three pillars. Even in the policy, you need to communicate your policies to the vendors, to your partners, to your resellers. You need to educate your employees, your workforce about. So policy and governance is important. So these are the three pillars which I see for a company or an organization to start adopting crypto agility. The first is visibility, the second is automation, and the third is policy and governance.
Thank you.
So, so in order to kind of begin the adoption faster or begin this journey, I believe we have a chance to step aside from the rut of digital and look at this problem because we have time at our hand. Can we dance with the problem and look at how by design we can come up with a new structure to this? A foundational change that does not hurt us again, possibly 15 years, 20 years down the line. In our labs, basically, the cryptographers and the scientists, they always try to think in a different way. The whole idea is the industry has this option today. Can there be a cryptographic model that does not have to depend on the computational capability or the mathematical hardness of the problem itself? Right? That is number one. Number two is, can we look at, for an entire digital stack, can we look at a platform approach? Today we have certain elements established as the core systems. On top of that, we have some security algorithms or security systems. Below that, we have certain other elements. But hey, when you have to change your cryptographic module, then where all are they instantiated, as Mandeep just said? It's very difficult. It's in fact, it's cumbersome. So how can we look at, how can we create models which are platform driven, where things are more modular, and we have that crypto agility to be able to change the primitives as we go along in this journey, because it's no one's guess that when am I really fully secure? You're never, right? So that is the second thing, the platform approach to actually building the digital. And finally, the whole idea is that, look at the problem more openly, I believe. And, we have to go into an iterative, always be iterative about this. This has not happened in the last so many years, since 70s, for example, right? I believe we are getting into that iterative mode for some of these fundamental technologies. So these are the three things. A platform approach, a fundamental research, and an iterative mode. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, my comment would be, once we talk about the quantum resiliency and crypto agility, same time we should not forget the classical security. The classical security is as important, much more important than the quantum resiliency and crypto agility. Now, what is the question, what we have to do? We have to optimize this path. One path is quantum resiliency, other is crypto agility, and classical resiliency. The function which optimize these three things, depending on your cost, depending on how much size of, what the size of team, how much money you have, these things should come by the design itself. Suppose you launch the product and after that you want, say, I want to make it quantum secure or crypto agile, or it should be the classical, so that is very difficult. Once product is getting conceptualized, at that time itself you have 20, 30-year map where we are going. Tomorrow it may happen, quantum computer may not come. There may be the DNA computing technology that may overlead the quantum. That is a future, no one knows actually. So we have to find the optimal path, cost-effective path, economical path, which maximize quantum resiliency, crypto agility, and classical things. Quantum resiliency is very important, crypto agility is important, classical resiliency is important, or any new technologies coming also you should have in mind. This is not only three things, there is something more beyond these things actually. So that is depend on the visionary leadership and the experience and then only we can take up actually. Otherwise, once product is launched, making it secure, it is not easy task. We should have something extra for that, extra memory, extra resource, extra money, and extra team, which will thinking about the future. And we don't know the future what will happen. It may happen DNA computing will overlead the quantum computing. That possibility is there.
Thank you, sir. So this is very interesting because at one side we understand that this is urgent, and then there are real challenges, real life challenges of this transition, and practical other problems, not only quantum, but even the advancements in the classical scenario. So these all have to be addressed. So I wanted to add one point to what Lieutenant Commander Mandeep Kumar had said. In the National Quantum Mission, because I'm closely involved in the formulation somewhere. So it actually talks about TRL level of 7 and 8. So it talks about product. So the National Quantum Mission is an R&D, but it talks about bringing things on table. So when it brings things on table, then the market should also be ready to adopt. Otherwise, what is happening is a lot of foreign companies are coming and trying to sell it before we make it. And another thing which I find is, who is going to test that whether the parameters or the specifications I attach to the product is right or wrong? How do I know that if I do a PQC and I buy it from somewhere, how am I going to evaluate it? I know it is important, but I need to implement this solution, this technology in my solution. How am I going to do it? So these are still the challenges, I think, since we have put it across people who are from government and defense and industry, I think we can take it forward from here. So with this, we are almost at the end of our session. We can have one question from the audience. Yes, please.
You talked about we should focus more on the end-to-end automation for the certificate life cycle, right? One of the biggest challenge that I see is most of the applications which are dependent on the certificate, right? If you have to deploy the certificate automatically, it requires a restart of the application as well. So how do you, what is your thought process to solve that problem? Because you don't know if the application is going to be restarted, whether this is going to create some problem with the new certificate that has been deployed.
So when we talk about implementing or automating any kind of technology, so the first stage that you do is that you make your environment as a testing environment. So what I want to urge to the organization is that you need to start building and testing your PQC or your automation part. So you need to parallelly, what you have as of today, parallelly you need to build a system which supports automation, test it, and the more you test it and go along so that you know what all the problems that you're gonna get, how you're gonna solve those problems, how your automation will function. So prior deployment, so there are various vendors locally, basically nationally and internationally working on automation part of certificate lifecycle management. And they have been working closely even with the academia to bring out those models which define and which are being adopted by these vendors and are being provided to the customers for automation of their certificate lifecycle management. I hope I answered your question.
I think time's already up. So thank you, thanks to all the experts, and thank you for being so wonderful. If you have any further questions, I'm sure we can catch up outside.
So thank you, panelists, for taking your time and sharing your valuable insights.